Hello, hello, everyone, and welcome back. It is a wonderful Thursday evening for MRL action. Round 2, joining me as always for Tier 2. Unicorn, how you doing?
I'm doing good, thank you. I'm looking forward to another very exciting race here at MRL last week. Australia, Albert Park. What a race that was, man.
Oh, it
I'm looking
was
for more of the same.
something. It was something else. Taking a look at today's circuit, we are in Bahrain Sakir, and this is definitely one of my favorite circuits on the calendar. I am very, well, I don't want to say sad that it's so early, but I guess bittersweet. Very, very good circuit. A lot of straight racing action here. A lot of overtaking opportunities. And, well, I cannot wait to see how these drivers fare off here in round 2. And, of course, round 2, 2 out of 22 in this season. The Vietnamese GP next week, and then we go into China. We go to Zandvoort, we go through into the Spanish GP, Monaco, Azerbaijan, Canada, France, Austria, and then to the second leg of the calendar, rounds 12 to 22, we go from Silverstone to Hungary to Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium, Italy for round 15, Singapore for round 16, Russia, Japan, United States of America, Mexico, Brazil, and Abu Dhabi to cap things off for this season. So it is a long, long trek ahead. Of course, this is the grid that we are going to be looking at today for Tier 2 action. Mercedes, Kai Bacchini, and the Funky JJ flipping positions, essentially, after qualifying, unfortunately for Kai, unable to finish last week. Jay with a shock win. I think even he was very happy with that result. A2K and Jasco over at Ferrari, Gadwin and Liam for Red Bull, Sensorless and Skybits over at McLaren, Jack S and Undertaker over at Renault, Juicebox and Wisp for AlphaTauri, Robbo and Itzamax over at Racing Points with Maxim and Sijos at Alfa Romeo, Haas and Crampy and Max Inkster at the Haas F1 team, Domi and Squid for Williams. And then let's take a look at how things shaped up after this first round. And thank you to Mr. Henners for the raid, and Menacing Skull and the followers that have just joined us here. Of course, taking a look at the standings, Jay out in front with 25 points. There's Sijos in second with Skybits rounding off third. Maxim in fourth and Sensorless in fifth. You can see everybody there in the top 10 scoring points with the exception of Kai Bacchini A2K with the fastest lap of the race last round out. Jack S was promoted to P6 from P8 due to a post-race penalty appeal, meaning that he had some time shaved off his end of the race. So he is going to get promoted to P6. So good for him. And that is good for the Renault squad. Now, I do believe we are just about set to go here ahead of this race. Minute ticking down now, as some drivers just getting things together now. I'm extremely excited for this race for Bahrain. It's going to be something else, Unicorn.
Absolutely. I think is that everyone in now? I believe it is.
I do believe we are just waiting on Mr. Jack S to get into his vehicle, and I think he is in there now, so we should be good to go here. Racing round 2 of MRL. I am very stoked. It was a fantastic race if you missed it last week in Albert Park. We had a ton of overtaking, some drama, some collisions. Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, and like you said, Bahrain, what a circuit to over. It's so many opportunities for overtaking around here. So I think if last week's anything to go by, we'll see plenty of action here. And obviously Australia, probably a lot more difficult, I would say, to overtake around Albert Park compared to Bahrain. So I think we're in for a real treat.
Oh, I'm so excited for this. Absolutely stoked for this. I don't think rain's going to be an issue. Of course, the dynamic weather setting is enabled. However, it is Bahrain, and it is very unlikely we'll see some wet conditions here from what I'm aware of, as it will be a short qualifying 18-minute session ahead of a 50% distance league race. Full damage. Ghosting is disabled, so drivers will need to slow down in yellow sections of circuit because they just might not know what's around the corner. Full grid today. I don't believe we have anybody in reserve slots today. I think that is our entire full-time roster on the grid today. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I do believe you're right in that. If the check-in is to be believed, everyone's got a nice green tick next to their name.
That is absolutely fantastic here for round 2. Full grid in attendance. And that is definitely going to be what we want to see for the standings race as well.
Yeah, because obviously you don't want reserves to be taking part in the title fight every week. But here we are with the full grid. Obviously, every now and again, something pops up, someone misses a race, but when you've got the full grid on this, everyone is in contention for the Drivers' Championship, especially at this stage of the campaign. So, we've only got one race. Could have been, an anomaly as to what happened in that race. So this week we really get to see everyone against everyone else. And I can hear engines. And I see a few medium tyres as well being chosen by a variety of drivers out there. There's a Haas coming up. By the looks of it, it's Max, who will be first onto the track here at Bahrain.
I do believe some of the drivers call it who's going to be first to get camera time, as we usually make a habit out of following the first driver out of the pits. So Max Singster definitely not camera shy, as I think he did it last week as well. But who knows, there could be some kind of strategy at play as well on the clock.
It's definitely an easy way to get us to have a little conversation about you if you're that way inclined. You want us to shout your name out on stream, I guess, but
it could equally be pressure as well, though, because he is about to start a flyer, and we're going to be dissecting it, of course.
The other flip of that coin is you don't have any time to beat, so whatever you put in is in theory a good lap time compared to everyone else's. You haven't missed the mark by 1 or 2 seconds. But that's a Renault.
Somebody's had an issue there in Sector 2.
Yeah,
There's a
Jack
Renault
S.
off.
Just sitting off the circuit. Don't know what happened to him. Doesn't look like he's had a crash.
Max Singster now down into turn 1. He's dropping it into second gear here for turn 1. Getting a little bit of that inside curve on turn 2, up through 3.
I appear to have lied, actually. Jack is missing an end plate. It looks like he might be lagging a little bit, so hopefully his connection remains stable.
Very unfortunate for the Renault. Coming down into turn 10 now, the Haas. This is a difficult turn here for a lot of these drivers. Good. Wow, he got all of that inside curb and then some, and managed to not invalidate there. Down into turn 11, he takes a lot of that outside curb. Very careful not to touch the inside curb of 12. Getting a little bit of that inside curb out of 13 there, and off we go. Down this last straight. No DRS down this straight in Sector 3. Into the 15-16 section.
Yeah, I've seen it plenty of times. The invalidations in this game, the strict
a 127 flat, first time set here. The next driver to come across, I believe, is going to be A2K. And he jumps behind a 128.1 in the Ferrari. And then it's two Williams coming across the line. I believe that's Squid, the second of the two, and he comes across a 126.858. His teammate a 128.4 on the slower compound on the medium. And then it's the two AlphaTauri drivers, Juicebox and Wisp, jumping out ahead. A 126.297 for the provisional pull time at the moment for Juicebox, and a Wisp behind him by 0.2. And that's an AlphaTauri front row. For the moment,
it looks like Itzamax had a few issues in turn 12. He's invalidated his lap and he was off the track. He did cause a yellow flag in that second sector. So hopefully it's just a one-off slip up for him.
Thank you to Yoda for your 3 months. Greatly appreciate the support. Maxim B right now coming on a flyer. Both AlphaTauris pulling off there. Coming down into turn 10. The Alfa Romeo DRS now open. Taking as much of this outside shoulder as he can into turn 11 here. Little tap of the inside curb. Top of the outside curb. Brushes on the inside curb once again into 12. No amount of inside curb there.
A2K has just gone fastest with a 126.2, 0.03 of a tenth faster than Juicebox.
Very fast indeed from the Ferrari, considering he chained laps on that same compound of tire. Very quick. Maxim on the mediums. What's he going to pull off here? He's a P6 for the moment. 127.425 for the Canadian in the Alfa Romeo. Who else can we find on a flying lap at the moment as the grid starts to fill with times? It is A2K, your provisional pole leader. Juicebox and Wisp round off the top three. The two Mercedes who showed spectacular results last weekend. Of course, Kai Bicini taking pole position in qualifying, unable to come through in the race. His teammate, however, not so hot in the qualifying, able to pick up the pieces and take that race win. Very impressive teamwork from the squad as well on their communication last weekend. Now we have Liam, who was our former champion, or reigning champion, I should say, for the Tier 2 division of MRL. Struggling so far. Hope to see some good performance out of him today. Skybits as well. He is a driver who you may have seen in Tier 1 last season. Of course, this year he has qualified and been relegated down into Tier 2, but he's shown that he is still quite quick, securing P3 last week as well. Currently on an invalidated lap is the McLaren Jack S, flying across the line now. 9th position, 127.7 the time, Unicorn. What do you think about Jack S here in Bahrain?
We saw him have what appeared to be some sort of, I don't know whether it was a lag issue or a mistake, but in that second sector along the straight as well, which is an interesting place to make a mistake. I mean, coming out of turn 10, a fairly easy place to make a mistake, but along the straight is a little bit unusual, so fingers crossed he can keep it, together in the race, and we don't see too many mistakes, or any mistakes really from him, but it's a bit of an unusual place, so we'll have to keep an eye on him. But I think in terms of raw pace, he's doing all right at the moment, sitting somewhere in the mid-pack as of right now in qualifying. But like I said, someone to keep an eye on in the race. As of right now, obviously we still haven't got, there's that 7 lap time set there, although Gadwin appears to have retired from the session without setting a lap time. Also, it's worth bearing in mind the medium compounds he selected there. He's behind Cjos and Maxime B, but everyone else above them is on those soft compound tyres. So,
very
interesting to see how that strategy play out.
Both Mercedes. I wonder how Jay's going to go here in Bahrain now. I've seen Jay drive Bahrain before, of course, last season. You see Kai Bicini there on turn 12. He's just riding that inside curbing a little bit. You can see how shaky it is. Now he's going to be beginning a flying lap.
Also in that new 2020 livery, finally been added to the game.
That's right. We're seeing now the current livery for the Mercedes team in game now, as Jay is actually going to be the first of the two Mercedes to fly here. Approaching some traffic. All the traffic doing a good job here of pulling off. That's what we like to see, of course.
He's also opted for those medium compound tyres, unlike his teammates, so they're intending to go for two separate strategies there. And obviously that can...
That's Domi in the Williams. He is spun off at turn 9. Or is that turn 8, excuse me. But he is spun off there on the inside, and he's going to be looking to get back going. But he has to wait for traffic, and he's going to need to do so without getting disqualified, hopefully. But Jay coming down through into turn 11 here. Crampy on to provisional pole position in the Haas. A 125.957, and I'm sure Günther Steiner is going wild over there in that garage right now.
Absolutely, that's an insane time. That's sub 126 right now. A little bit akin to when we were seeing the sub 20s, 120s pulled out last week in Australia. It's really what we were looking for in terms of the extreme pace. Mikey J sets a 127.1, the fastest time on the medium tyres so far. Kai, like you said, last week's pole sitter in the other Mercedes, doesn't look happy with his lap and is pulling into the pits.
Well, good job from Jay. Looking quick on those mediums. I know he's been putting some time into this circuit. It's not one of his strongest circuits. He told me if any fireworks do come, they're definitely going to be hard fought. So I'm sure we'll keep an eye on him. Skybit's now flying up through turn 4, or into turn 4, excuse me. Who is that ahead of him? That is the Domi in the Williams ahead. And I just want to take a moment to thank everybody who's subscribed and followed to the stream thus far in this qualifying session. The action has truly yet to arrive, as Unicorn and I can share with you. You are in for a treat. So if you're new, don't go anywhere, because it is going to be a fantastic race, I'm sure, and I hope that is the case.
It looks like Skybits might have just set a fastest sector 1 there in the McLaren. He is flying on those soft tyres. And you can really see there are certain corners around here that you have to make as much use out of the outside curb as you humanly can, because there's just so much time there to be gained from using as much of the track as you can. Obviously, corner cutting in this game, you can't really abuse it too much in terms of what you could maybe get away with in the last game. This game it seems to be a little bit more strict, but it will be Skybits. He has continued to keep a valid lap, and that's a 126.1. He's just 0.2 off of pole there, and that puts him on the front row as of right now.
Very rapid in Bahrain is the McLaren. Liam currently in the pit lane. Not too sure what's happening with the Red Bull. Not too sure if he is disconnected or here. I'm not entirely sure. Hopefully is with us at the moment. Not disconnected. That would be very unfortunate for him.
Squid is about to come across, and he posts a 126.6. It doesn't improve his position. 0.2 faster than his previous best, but you can see there's quite a large drop off between 9th and 10th. 0.4. And also you can see that those who qualified on the mediums, the likes of J, C, Josh, Maxime, B, Jack, they've all switched to soft compound tyres, and you can see them start to come out now with Jack's. He's just started his flying lap in the Renault.
Now you can see here the only driver that has yet to switch off those mediums and is still on those mediums for the moment is Robbo in the Racing Point. Currently 16th on the grid. He's set a lap on those but has not switched off of them yet. He is still in the pit lane. Could be waiting to come out again, but there is a lot of traffic here on the grid right now, and I am not entirely sure who is going to be the first driver to begin a lap here. I think it may be Maxim B on an out lap coming up through turn 12. in the Alfa Romeo. He will be the first driver to set another lap time here on this current chain of drivers, I do believe. At least he will be the first one to cross the line in our view.
Yeah, there's another interesting point. Kai, he was on soft compound tyres, and we saw him dive into the pits at the end of his flying lap, not even setting a time. And he's now coming out on the mediums. Jack S has just invalidated his lap time, coming out of turn 13. But Kai Bacchini, maybe he was going to set a very good time, and he decided, you know what, I want to see what I can do on the mediums. It's going to be pretty much one lap attempt. He might have time for two if he's lucky, but it's going to be on those medium compound tyres. So regardless of whether he wants to or not now, he has to start on those mediums unless he qualifies outside of the top 10.
Now Juicebox improves. Into P3, he pushes A2K into the back slot on that second row and has beaten him by a very, very sharp margin.
Yeah, as we saw last week, it's incredibly tight in this league, and that's what you want to see from league racing. That's the whole point of tiering. You get people who are...
And that is a retirement in Sector 2. That is Jack S. And I am not entirely sure what's happened to him outside of that section. We'll jump on in just a moment.
That is the second time he's crashed.
And he's gone into that wall just outside there. Maxim B through the penultimate turn now.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate for Jack. He was the point scorer last week, 8th place.
As Maxim Unicorn decides to shatter the hopes and dreams of those over at Haas, taking away that pole position. A 125.669, a very serious improvement over the Haas driver right now. Crampy doing a good job, still on the front row for the time being, as many drivers now going to be crossing the line here. I believe sensorless. Let's see, who else? There's another issue over in Sector 3.
Oh, Undertaker's just set a fastest Sector 2. I do believe. Is that the fastest? It is. He has set a faster Sector 2 than anyone else. He's going to cross the line. And that puts him third at 125.9.
Very, very nice from Undertaker. He, of course, Tier 1 driver last season, also making his return to MRL here in Tier 2. Hungry to get that car up as far as he can into the point scoring positions. Doing a good job in third for now.
So these are going to be the last few flying laps. We can see that qualifying timer pretty much at an end now, just 5 seconds.
As we're being told now, there's a little bit of a time desync on what we have. Apparently there's a little bit more time available than what we're aware of. At least on my end, I believe our qualifying has come to an end, and we have the final countdown now of 3 minutes.
There's a very slow-moving Haas in Sector 3. Who is that? It's Max Inkster. Is he low fuel? I'm not quite sure what he's doing there.
The McLaren of Sensorless now crossing the line. What's he going to do? He does not improve. Could be that he is starting his lap now. I'm not entirely sure what the timing situation is like after having received that message. Yasko in the Ferrari P4, and this entire grid is shaping up entirely different than what I think we would have expected considering our finishing group last week.
Yeah, I think it just goes to show that you've got drivers who have different strengths and weaknesses, you know, different tracks that they're strong at. You can see the two Alfa Romeos here up with a 125.6 and a 125.9. Maxime B very, very clear of any of the nearest rivals. Obviously, they both did rather well in last week's race, but you've got last week's winner, Funky J. He's currently down in 16th place, but I do believe he set that time on the mediums, so he is going on a different strategy to most. The only other person I believe is Kai Bacchini. He has set a lap time on those mediums. That's a 126.9. So what we're seeing there, I think, is just the lack of pace on the mediums, but at the same time, they can go quite a bit further than the softs around here. So it's definitely a strategic decision. And that's Jay. He is actually on a flying lap now, and he is on fresh softs, and he is absolutely flying right now. Apparently he set a purple sector 2, a lot of inside curb around the final corner. Here it goes, DRS wing pops open, and across the line he goes second with a 125.7, and that's going to put some worried looks on the guys over at Alpha, with Crampy setting at 125.8 and Squid at 125.8 as well. So Sejos just lost out from the front row to the third row.
Yeah, he definitely did. Now, Crampy pushed back into third position. Jay in second. He is on the front row. Maxim B, one of his rivals throughout the season last time around. Now, here's the thing. Last season round in Bahrain, Jay was on pole then. Unfortunately, that result did not translate into the race. Now, can he right that wrong here starting on this front row? Only time will tell as he comes around turn 10 there in the Mercedes. Very nice time from him. Of course, the Canadian Maxim B, currently your pole sitter with a 125.669 here at the end of qualifying. Absolutely fantastic time from him. And this grid is looking extremely, extremely fast in Bahrain. You look at the times right now from the leader of the times all the way down into 15th position. It is only a 1.2 second gap here in Tier 2. Very, very competitive grid, and I am extremely excited. And you have to keep in mind that that Tier 2 15th position time is set on the medium compound tire, if I'm not mistaken, by Kai Bacchini. So,
indeed, yeah.
and he is the driver that took pole position last weekend, or week. So, things very, very intense here as we have a timing glitch of some kind on the standings. I do believe we just have to wait it out and it will go.
Fingers crossed.
There we go. Fantastic. So once again, real quick, to go down the grid, it is Maxim B, the Canadian, on pole position here for round 2, Tier 2 MRL action. Jay in second, and Crampy rounding off your top 3. Squid in 4th, Sejos in 5th, Skybit 6th, Undertaker in 7th, Jasco in 8th, Juicebox in 9th, and A2K rounding off your top 10 here for the Scuderia Ferrari team. Sensorless in 11th, the Domi 12th, Wisp in 13th, Robbo in 14th, Kai Bacchini in 15th for Mercedes, not where we wanted to see him, of course. Max Singster in 16th, It's a Max 17th, Jack S 18th, Liam in 19th, with Gadwin bringing up the rear with no time set here for either of these Red Bull racers. So, very interesting strategy by the Red Bull Racing Squad. Gadwin and Liam, both drivers with very well-known pace here in Tier 2. Front runners in last season, of course, as we get set to jump into this race. Unicorn, talk us through some of the strategies and safety car things we may see, as I will excuse myself just for one moment.
So, from what I've been hearing, it's possible here to do a one-stop, but you're going to have to do mediums to hards. That's one strategy that's definitely being considered in Tier 1. Whether we're going to see the likes of Kai Bacchini try and pull that off here. Obviously, last week wasn't his week in the race, but qualifying it was, so maybe he's looking to reverse that. This time around, obviously, not qualifying up anywhere near as high. I think it's a 15th place start for him, but obviously, if you don't start, if you don't finish, it doesn't matter where you qualified. So he'll be looking to gain some positions during the race. Obviously, seeing on pole Maxime B, he was rather successful last time out. But here we go. It looks like we are ready for the formation lap. We've got two stops, a soft, medium, and a soft, hard, recommended by the game.
All right.
I think the soft, medium is much more likely for the drivers rather than the soft, hard. It's also worth pointing out the tyre temperatures here in Bahrain, obviously situated in the middle of a desert.
Wow, look at that. Sorry, I've just returned Excuse myself for a quick moment there, and I'm just looking at these tires. Unicorn, wow, what a sight that is.
Let's... Oh my goodness, yeah, you can see everyone outside the top 10 with the mediums.
Full-blown split. First to 10 softs, 11 to 20 in mediums. Absolutely wild. So, clearly, these drivers on the mediums thinking that these softs are going to burn out a little quick, possibly gain them some track position once the front runners jump into the pit lane for some fresh rubber. Very, very interesting strategy, of course, for these racers. And, of course, one thing that we always like to talk about as, well, safety cars.
We do love to talk about a good safety car, don't we? And we saw them shake up last week's race, strategies being made or broken via the safety car. There's that on-screen graphic again. Like I was saying, I don't think we're going to see soft, hard too much in tonight's race unless there is one of those safety cars, at which point maybe the hard tyres will be picked up by the guys on the soft tyres. Maybe some people think they can push for a soft hard, but I believe the only one stop that's really viable is the medium to the hard tyres. So anyone outside of the top 10 right now could pull one of them off, but obviously we saw it last week. Safety cars, they can play a huge part in how a tyre strategy evolves over the race. And obviously as well, it just depends on what happens. If you spin and you heat up your tyres, you might have to pit a little bit earlier than you previously intended. So looks like we're getting the grid lined up here. 2 Red Bulls at the back, joining the last row of the grid.
4 or 5 red lights on here in Bahrain. There's a little bit of a delay, which is customary. Maxim getting ready to go.
Domi's jumped the start, apparently.
And we've had a couple of jump starts through the grid, but that's Maxim dropping the clutch, and off we go here down into turn 1. That's the Williams, the Domi there, who is going to have to serve a drive-through penalty now as Maxim into turn 1. Wheel to wheel with Jay already. Coming through turn 2 and 3.
I think it's senseless. And there's a huge crash. The Alpha Tauri of Juicebox and Kai Bacchini. There's a Renault off as well. Undertaker's in the grass. Sorry to interrupt there, but that was a huge coming together of 3 or 4 cars.
We have a VSC here. Jay currently out in net lead of this race at the moment, given he has no penalties that he has to serve. VSC deployed, everyone has to slow things down. That grid is going to come together once again, and the Domi is going to have to serve a drive-through within the next 3 laps. You can see there the predicted pit stop strategies. It's saying soft, soft, medium, soft, soft, hard. I don't think that's going to be the case in this race if these safety cars continue to be a dynamic here in Bahrain. It's a very interesting race start from the Tier 2 race. Not something we're accustomed to seeing, is that amount of action, but of course Bahrain, not a circuit that these racers saw too much of last time around. Maxim still hungry to get back into lead of this race as things go back to green flag racing. He is looking at that Mercedes right now. The grid is definitely tightened up. There are short intervals all up and down the grid right now, and you can see an exchange of positions as well. And I think we're going to see a variety of pit stops here coming out of the opening lap as well. Jay sets the fastest lap so far in the campaign, a 1:41.2.
So we can already see people hopping into the pits. A little bit further down the grid, we've got Max, A2K's in, Kai, Jasko, Juicebox, Liam, Sensorless, and a lot of these drivers have lost huge amounts of positions off of the start. For example, Jasko, he's down 11 positions into 19th place. A horrifying start.
Now, one thing to note here is Domi and Jay in an exchange here in the lead of this race right now. Domi has to serve a drive-through penalty, and he's fighting with a driver who does not right now. So it's very interesting strategy out of the Williams. He's on the medium compound tires as well. Definitely not going to have the amount of pace in those tires as the softs right now. Maxim in the mix as well. He's looking at the inside into turn 10. Very interesting racing here. Wheel-to-wheel action all the way down the grid.
In the Alpha Tower, he's spun out of turn 10. I don't think there was any collision, but it has He has had a spin there. We were expecting it around this corner, of course. Domai now dropping back down the order. And his teammate Squid had a massive slide. And he's come together with Crampy. Crampy, I think, has got away. Oh, no, he hasn't. He has also come off there.
Crampy is in bad shape. He's down into 9th position. He started this race farther up the... Well, way farther up the grid than that. That's for sure.
Third, I think. Pretty sure. Domai receives a 5-second penalty. And now he's serving, presumably, the drive-through penalty. He just has damaged wings, so he... Oh, no, he doesn't have a damaged wing. My apologies. He is now serving that penalty. Crampy into the pits as well to repair that damage he got with the Williams. Domai has had an absolutely abysmal start to this race, with DRS now enabled. Wisp into the pits as well after that spin.
This race start has been very dramatic. Yes, of course. And it has been very hard to kind of zero in on any full-blown action right now. So the only thing to speak of, we have Jackass right now in 5th position, hunting down the racing point of Robbo. We'll take a look now at the position changes here in this race. Jay and Maxim exchanging positions. Sejoss is up 2 slots. Now Robbo and Jack S have moved up massive amounts here. Robbo up 10 positions into 4th. Jack S into 5th position, up 13 slots. You can see now Squid dropping down 2 positions from where he began. It's a Max is up 10. Gadwin's up 12, which is a fantastic strategy from Red Bull if I've ever seen one, considering he started at the back. We have Skybits down 3 and Undertaker down 3, rounding off your top 10 here. Now, the tires is an entirely different story. If you look at this grid right now, you have mediums and softs completely intertwined all the way up and down the timing tower.
It's crazy how that's been shuffled up from what we were saying at the start, where it was that perfect split between the top 10 and the bottom 10 being on the softs and the mediums, and now it's like your Christmas lights at Christmas, you get them out the box after a year, they're all tangled together. But a team that's definitely benefited from this is Alfa Romeo. We saw them and McLaren pick up a good score of points last week in Australia, but now with Senseless down in 19th and Skybits in 9th, McLaren are going to be struggling. There's a yellow flag. That's a Ferrari in Sector 2. That's Jasko. Did he come off? He's still going around now. No damage to see on the Ferrari as his teammate goes fastest lap of the race. He's sitting in 12th place though, so we won't score those points unless he can climb into the top 10.
A few tight gaps starting to form now. One to speak of is Kaibachini here on Crampy. He is on the outside, down into turn 1. Crampy and the Haas on the inside. Kaibachini getting the move done now, looking for the other Haas. That's Max Inkster in 14th position ahead, down into turn 4. DRS wide open for the Mercedes, who is now onto the soft compound tires here on lap 4. Max Inkster looking to defend. Makes a defensive move off to that inside section into the turn. Now he's coming down into turn 8.
Yeah, we've seen it quite a lot in the races we've had in 2020 so far, as in the game, not the year, where we just get these pockets of drivers all over the track.
Kaibachini with the DRS now. Sorry to interrupt, Unicorn. He's looking at Max Inkster. He's now ahead of Max Inkster down into turn 11. Seems to be a very clean-cut move from the Mercedes. Well done from him, up into 14th position. Meanwhile, Skybits in the McLaren looking at Gadwin. Going to stay behind the racing line for the moment down into turns 1 through 3.
Yeah, and he's got that faster soft compound tire. But the problem he's having right now is that Gadwin's getting DRS along all the DRS zones on Itzamax in the racing point ahead of him. So despite these two both being on the medium compound tires, Skybits on those softs struggling to get past, because the best places to overtake here really are the straights. He can gain time in the corners, but we're getting very close through turn 8 there. But he's not being able to make it past so far. He's going to have to make good use of energy management, and that's something that right now Gadwin has the upper hand on. Pretty much double his usage. They both got it enabled. There goes the McLaren looking up the inside, but he's not even side by side as they approach the corner. Just about squeezes through on the inside.
Wow, and I believe the term for that is, my friend, a smooth operation from the McLaren indeed. Into turn 12, very nicely done.
Yeah, a beautiful move there from Skybits, but he's not out of the woods. He's almost out of DRS range of Itzamax after this battling's cost them both a little bit of time. So he's got to be careful that he doesn't drop out of that DRS range and then give it to Gadwin, who could just roll straight back past, and obviously he's on the soft tyres as well. Whereas Gadwin, he's got a little bit of extra time on those tyres being on the mediums, so he's got to play a bit of a balancing act as Skybits. Does he go and push for the position? I imagine that's what he's going to do, but he really needs to push for those positions in the corners rather than trying to take advantage of ERS. He's running so low right now, as is Itzanax, to be honest. So Gadwin looking pretty strong right now in that Red Bull.
Yeah, he is, and he pulled off quite a bit down that pit straight, and then he was very late on the brakes into turn 1 here. I think he may be struggling with some connectivity issues at the moment. I see his car rubber banding just a slight amount coming down into that hairpin turn. And you can see now, Jackass still not able to hunt down Robbo just yet. That Racing Point is still evading him in 4th position. And there is just a massive amount of exchanging happening throughout this grid. That's Wisp, I believe, on the hunt now. He is looking at Kai Bacchini in the AlphaTauri. He is on the medium compound tires, Kai Bacchini on the softs. And I believe it may have been Kai Bacchini overtaking Wisp into 12th, but Wisp now looking to fight back.
Is out.
And that is huge news. Seajoss,
that's a safety car.
That's outside of turn 12.
Like turn 12, yeah. Oh, and Skybits nearly running into the back of Itzamax there. That's not something you want to see. You've got to slow down under the safety car.
I want to say he had his head staring down at that rear view because, well, that looked like quite a violent crash for Seajoss, and that's very unfortunate. Looks like he may have just tapped that inside curb into turn 12, which, of course, if you've been following along with some of our racing action, you'll know it is a very, very touch-and-go place to be here around Bahrain.
So everyone at the front pretty much coming in for the pits, apart from Itzamax. He's the only person up there really with a teammate in close proximity, so it was the choice between, do I get double stacked or do I stay out for the time being? He's chosen to stay out. Whether he'll come in at the end of this lap, yet to be seen, but he currently leads the race. But it's Jay who's sitting pretty in 2nd place right now, and he has taken advantage of the safety car. But interesting enough, he's gone for the medium compound tyres, as has Maxime B. But behind them, Robbo and Squid, as well as Just Jack, Skybits, have all gone for the hard tyres. Meanwhile, A2K as well hasn't pitted either.
Yeah, Jay in 2nd position there versus Itzamax. That's a 6-lap rubber difference, excuse me. As Jay gonna be looking to take on the Racing Point right off the safety car restart here. And now he is in an ideal position to get sweet, sweet revenge on what happened to him a season ago, last time out in Bahrain. Now, the thing is with Jay, he also has Maxim behind him, who has shown very clear pace here. Robbo as well is on the hards, and he can go the distance undoubtedly on those at this point, I do believe. Squid behind him as well. A2K is on softs. He's most definitely going to have to pit off of those once again. As you said, those tires can be very, 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 very quick to run out of their tire delta. Skybits, 8th position there on the hards behind Jack as well. Jack's been looking very feisty in these races.
Yeah, one thing that we've got to look at here is who was up here at the end of the last race. Who was in those winning positions? And Jay and Maxime B, both of whom very successful last weekend out. Whereas the Racing Point around them, not too successful in comparison. Robbo only finishing 12th place, now up into 4th, which could be a net 3rd if his teammate, well, his teammate will have to pit at some point, at least once more. Probably we'll see him go for hards somewhere in, I don't know how many laps you'd want to, don't want to put a number, maybe 5 or so laps to go for those hards for the Racing Point out at the front at the moment. Whether the hards are going to go to the end here is my biggest question, with the likes of Robbo, Squid, and Just Jack. there on those fresh hards. Will they be able to go to the end, or will they have to pit for softs come the last few laps? It's Max getting very close to the safety car there. And that's to make some evasive maneuvers.
This grid, man, is so competitive. We saw the times in qualifying. Now everybody's kind of getting a pseudo restart with this safety car. Everyone getting in for fresh tires, with the exception of that very small 4-car midfield chunk. And then, of course, our current race leader, It's a Max. So I don't know if it was the right call. It's going to be very interesting to see how this race restart pans out. Of course, we're about to find out whether or not this safety car is going to come in at the end of lap 8 or if it's going to continue on for one more. I think we're going to see it come in here.
I think It's a Max was in such an unfortunate position there. You know, he had the choice. The safety car will come in, according to race control there. So they've just sent out that message that It's a Max now is the de facto safety car. But he had the opportunity. It was either get double stacked and lose positions that way, or stay out and potentially lose positions. So we'll have to see. Maybe we'll see a second safety car be his saving grace.
He's going to be quite slow here. He may just get throttle locked, and I believe he has, because that safety car is only just now entering the pit lane. He may just get throttle checked. Oh, we're good to go, and it's green flag racing here in Bahrain, and he is already very tight.
Skybit survives.
With Jay into turn 1. Jay on the inside. Is he going to get the move done? He gets out in front. Jay into race lead right now. It's a Max brushing up with the Alpha and the Mercedes a little bit there.
Oh, and there's contact into turn 1. Sensorless now. He's dropped down. He's lost both end plates. We saw contact with Domai, and there was an Alpha Tauri in there as well. There's a huge gaggle of cars going towards turn 4 there. But oh my goodness, that's turn 1. And there's a spin for Kai Pacini in the Mercedes. We saw it last week. We've seen it again. This time he's rejoined the track a little bit more successfully, though. So unfortunate for the number 44 Mercedes there.
There's so much action happening on grid right now with this restart. It's hard to lock down these overtakes, but it is Crampy getting out ahead of Squid in the Haas right now. Crampy, we saw, of course, start very close to the front row, who had a very unfortunate start to this race. He's now in 6th position on 5-lap old hards, doing well to get himself back up to the front. Jay in 1st, Maxim in 2nd, and It's a Max is now dropped into 3rd on this restart here and seems to be separated from his teammate and the other 2 podium provisional drivers. Crampy now very close to the rear of Jack S, as there continues to be a shakedown here.
Is on a charge. He's just overtaken Goudwin and Jusox, and now up the inside of the other Red Bull of Liam. He is hard charging off of this restart. He's not successfully made the move on Liam, but Liam, he's got a yellow fuel warning there, so he's going to have to conserve a little bit. As we see the Haas look down into turn 1, and he's going to make the move. Can he stick it? You've got Liam defending on the outside, but he's going to have to stick behind the Haas. Max Inkster 3 places in place of about 1 sector.
Very nicely done from him, but is Liam done with him? It doesn't look like it. Liam back up the inside in turn 4. Max Inkster, though, having none of it, and that's the Ferrari of Yasko getting outside to side with the Haas now, looking to take advantage, and there's a spin, and that's Yasko slid off. Very unfortunate for the Ferrari, and now his teammate has gotten ahead of him. Max Inkster moving through ahead, still remaining in 10th position, and Liam under threat from Undertaker now in the Renault, who we saw also have a very nice qualifying. He's down out in front, a little deep into turn 10 here. Liam gets back out in front now. A2K taking advantage of that mistake. The Domi, meanwhile, in the Williams, he's looking at Jack S in 5th at the moment. The Domi on soft compound tires right now, coming into turn 13, up the inside of the Renault. Jack S, though, with a very powerful exit in the yellow car. And that's a retirement.
I'm wondering whether there was a collision there, because Liam lost out to Undertaker as well, and he looks to be damaged. He's missing a left end plate there. So I'm wondering if there was a little bit of contact between the 2 of them there. But it's out of turn 12. We've seen it before. It's only a VSC for now. And we can see It's a Max finally pitting alongside Jack, Squid, and Liam as well.
Now, considering the Delta pace has been slowed Very curious to see what kind of jump Wisp in the AlphaTauri will have on the Domi on those soft compound tires. Of course, Wisp is on the hards, and we are back to green flag racing down into turn 4.
Maxime B receives a drive-through penalty.
Oh no, and that VSC claiming a major penalty for the Alfa Romeo. Very unfortunate.
That is music to Jay's ears. He's already 2 seconds clear of Maxime B. He is going to have to serve a drive-through, which is going to put Jay just over 5 seconds ahead of his nearest rival. That Mercedes is absolutely flying right now. He won last weekend. Can he make it 2 in a row? He does still have to pit. He's not going to make it to the end on those mediums. Whereas Robbo, in that racing point behind, he might be able to stretch those hards all the way to the end of this Grand Prix. So Jay's still got his work cut out for himself.
Oh, it most definitely does. Curious to see when Maxim's going to serve that drive-through. Is he going to serve it now? He is not. So he has opted to stay out. He is currently 3 seconds off race leader on the same tires.
And that's
Jay is looking very strong.
Off at turn 12. He's done a very similar thing. No damage. Doesn't look like he saved it from hitting the wall. But again, turn 12, claiming yet another car spin.
Jack, yes, that could be music to his ears, as it's going to allow him to creep into the DRS of that racing point. He's made up a massive amount of time, and it has just allowed, really, this grid to catch up to these points positions.
It's happened again. This time it's senseless. Only he has lost an end plate. Meanwhile, Kai just snuck past Gadwin there on the start-finish straight. And further up, we've got Juicebox and Liam into turn 1. They're staying at the same time. Same position, sorry.
There just isn't too much action going on right now. Yasko in 10th position. Soft compound tires for him at the moment. Looking for P9. That's the racing point ahead of him. Jack S and the Renault behind. Down into turn 10.
You got Skybits as well on those fresh softs just behind the Renault. He's going to look to try and get a position here, I should think.
Yasko DRS looking at Itza-Max. He's going to go for that outside into turn 11. Is he going to make it stick round the outside? Very clean so far for both these drivers. Is he going to take any curbing on the inside of 12? He just taps it a little bit. Itza-Max taking a little bit more of that curb. Fortunately for him, he manages to keep the car in control. Meanwhile, beautiful racing here between these guys in this midfield right now. Maxim and Robbo in the pits. Yasko and Itza-Max still exchanging wheel to wheel now. That's Itza-Max back out in front of the Ferrari, as Jack S with a beautiful carry of speed out of that exit is going to go for it.
Skybits on the outside
it's 4 wide down the pit straight, Unicorn.
Oh my goodness, they're 3 wide into turn 1. The rotation on that Ferrari, very impressive to avoid any contact there. He's off the track here as they're side by side with the racing point. That's Itza-Max though. But down into turn 4, can Jasko get back past? They're so clean here. A little bit of contact between the two, but they managed to keep it straight as they approach the turns of 5, 6, and 7. Jasko again looking at the inside, not making any moves there, but they did very well to keep that clean, the 4 of them there. Skybits now tearing away from that pack there on those fresh softs. But man, they did very, very well to keep that clean as they did.
That was an absolutely beautiful view there, as Skybits in 9th position on those soft compound tires looks to hunt down the rest of this grid now, as the times are just starting to come back to us now as these drivers cross the grid. Crampy less than a second behind the Domi in 2nd position at the moment for Williams. The funky JJ leading this race by 10.3 seconds. Unicorn on those mediums, very nicely done from the Mercedes.
Yeah, speaking of someone who's not done very well, Senseless has just decided to retire the car in the pit lane, I do believe. For some reason, the car coming back out on track. Let's just go into the pits. He's getting off those 6-lap old softs, so I would imagine We're going to see Domai do something similar. He's currently sitting in P2.
Very
Currently,
interesting
though,
lineup on this grid right now. It's anyone's race with these mixed tire strategies and the penalties, of course, that will play a role come the checkered flag.
Yeah, what we're looking at here, I think we're seeing just obviously the soft tires. They're not going to go to the end, but the mediums appear to be much faster than the hards right now. You can see Max Inkster there. He's currently in 6th, but he's falling back off of Undertaker quite drastically, it would appear. He's lost about a second this lap.
Wisp looking to hunt down Crampy still. Wisp on the fresher rubber right now. He has DRS, not utilizing too much of that battery at the moment. He still has it just around a third of capacity. Crampy losing a lot of time in turn 1 there. You can see Wisp just so much later on the braking, wanting to gain as much time as he can. He's going to have DRS once again coming down into turn 4. And Crampy isn't too far off the second position racer, the Domi, either. So this could be a very good opportunity for the AlphaTauri, who we did not get to see race last week due to a very early retirement in that Australian Grand Prix. And of course, that was reviewed by stewards, and all of that is in our Discord. But in the P4 right now, doing pretty good on those 7-lap-old hards, and he may be able to go to the end. It may be a stretch. We'll see.
Yeah, right now,
a little
I
bit
think...
of a contact. He's inside, well, not inside, but the front right tire, tapping that Haas a little bit. Looking for a move into turn 11 there, and it just didn't quite work out for him. Good of him to keep the car going, though.
Squid here in the Williams. He's about to get DRS on Max. He's on the faster compound tyre. Is he going to be able to take advantage of overtake here up the inside? He's gone around the outside into turn 11. He's not made the move, though. He's actually lost time to the car in front there. I don't think he was expecting Max to just sort of continue what he was doing. I think he was expecting a bit defensive, but there we are.
Wisp has gotten ahead of Crampy. It appears I've missed the move. My apologies, but we have Wisp now 2 seconds off P2.
Yeah, and Domai is definitely going to have to pit by the end of this race, as Maxime B and Max are having a little bit of a battle. Maxime B getting ahead out of turn 4. He is on that faster tyre and is already tearing away from Max there. As I was saying, it looks like the hard tyre is a lot slower than the medium right now, but is the medium tyre going to be either as fast as the hard coming in the race, or are they going to have to pit off a bit at the same time?
Abicini really hungry for positions here, in 15th at the moment, looking at Juicebox for 14th. Very close exchange on circuit right now between these two.
Squid as well. Not only is he going to try and have another pop at Max, he's got Liam in the Red Bull, but this time Squid up the inside into turn 11. Still side by side as they come through towards turn 12. We've seen so many collisions through here already, or at least spins, and we're seeing another. That's Max. They're spinning into the wall and absolutely obliterating the Rolex sign at the side of the track. Max having to be very careful not to collide with any oncoming cars there.
Very unfortunate. Crampy looking back at Wisp, though, now coming through out of turn 4. That Haas is hungry for a podium.
Liam having a little look up the inside of Squid, not making the move yet into turn 1.
Abicini and Juicebox wheel to wheel now in turn 1 as well. Coming up through turn 2 and 3, it looks like the Mercedes has gotten out in front for now. Liam was very close to Squid. Looks like he may have had a lockup in turn 4 as he's now dropped back according to the timing tower, and Crampy's still within a second of Wisp.
Yeah, Squid there just carrying a very, very good amount of speed through turn 4. Enabled him to stay ahead of that Red Bull. And that half a second gap that he's able to have generated from that mistake is going to cost Liam when he gets that DRS popped open here in the run down to turn 11. But you can see that gap has really just allowed Squid to stay away. But he's made a mistake through turn 11, it looks like. A little bit of a block up. And that's going to allow Liam to catch up just a little bit, not too much. But again, you're going to see another run into turn 1. I'm sure of it.
Squid has spaced itself out quite significantly compared to what we saw in qualifying. Given all of these different tire strategies, you can see now Skybits is jumping off of those soft compound tires. What kind of tires is he going to jump onto? And meanwhile, that's Liam up the inside of Squid into turn 1. They're wheel-to-wheel. Liam in that Red Bull getting out in front for now. Is Squid going to have another run into turn 4? It's looking like it. He's using overtake DRS the whole 9 yards, and he is on the inside back ahead of the Red Bull through turn 4. Very tight racing between these two as the Red Bull, looking for serious points, wants to get ahead of this Williams.
Yeah, both Red Bulls have done pretty well in this race, given that they started at the back, both on the rear row of the grid. So now sitting in 11th and 14th. Obviously no points for those positions, but if Liam can get back past Squid here, he will be in that top 10, which is where the points are, of course. As he looks up the inside now, he is ahead coming into turn 11. Squid, though, looking for the cutback. Oh, an excellent move from the Williams. They're still side by side, and Liam just slots in behind the Williams before turn 12. Probably a wise move. We saw what happened previously, and that's Wisp on and Crampy into turn 1. And Crampy still up in the lead. But Jay has just pitted for fresh mediums. Puts him down to 4th place behind Maxime B.
Oh, that is
Is
a
that gonna give him the pace?
very tricky. I think Jay is now on a serious mission here. He has pitted off of those other medium compound tires, and he's now onto these fresh mediums, and he is now going to hunt down these racers ahead. You can already see the amount of pace he has compared to the driver ahead. That's Maxim ahead of him on 11-lap-old mediums at the moment. And inside of 3 turns, we've seen Jay chop out half a second from the Alfa Romeo. So he's pulling a lot of pace out of those tires right now.
Jada, I think that's one of the game's strategies that it suggests you do. I'm pretty sure we saw that on one of the starting AWS powered graphics.
Undertaker wheel-to-wheel with Squid into turn 10. And he gets a beautiful move up the inside done on the Williams, and he is into the points. Liam as well into 9th position. And he is on these soft compound tires, Undertaker, in this Renault, and he is going to fly through this grid now as all of these drivers jumping onto some fresher rubber. Now it's Wisp in a fight for the lead. Crampy down the pit straight into turn 1. Wisp wheel to wheel. How's it looking for the AlphaTauri? It's looking good as he's out in front of the Haas for now. Is Crampy going to have another run and an opportunity here? No DRS for the Haas. It's all for the AlphaTauri, but that overtake coming in handy for the Haas. He has the inside line. It is, again, another exchange of positions as these two continue to battle out of turn 4. Wisp out in front right now on lap 20. Beautiful racing from these two.
And those two, they need to maybe consider having a little bit of a ceasefire, because Jay just got past Maxime B very cleanly and has already pulled away by a second. He just set the fastest Sector 1 out of anyone on those fresh mediums. That Mercedes is flying, and right now the only thing between him and a second win here in the season is Crampy and Wisp on those hards, which aren't getting any younger. So they need to be very watchful of their rearview mirrors for that number 77 Mercedes.
Now, one thing to talk about here is Jack S and Undertaker. The teammates running in 8 and 9 at the moment. Liam has now dropped off into 10th position, and I do believe that is as a result of the soft compound tires for Undertaker just being able to get so much pace and get ahead of that Red Bull. Now, here's the thing with Jack S. Jack S is going to be losing out a lot of time here in this lap alone, and we're not even finished it yet. He's already lost out over a second in time to his teammate. New strategy for Jack S definitely puts Undertaker ahead in the points on this one.
Yeah, you have to really acknowledge the fact that your teammates on that fresher Commentators, you don't want to sabotage their race. When you're in a league setting like this, obviously, it's all for the points at the end of the day. And realistically, they're both in a point scoring position right now. It's not like they're fighting for 10th place. But Undertaker, he's going to be fast. Whether he'll be fast at the end of this race, that's yet to be seen, because the soft tyres probably going to be out of their useful range around lap 8 or 9 of their life cycle. And we've got just about 8 laps to go. So he's going to get to the end of their life cycle by the end of this race. But he's going to get past his teammate for sure. There he goes. Into P8. And yeah, you just got to hope for Jack that he can stay ahead of the two rivals behind them. Liam and Squid still fighting it out for 10th place. So gives him a little bit of a window. And he'll get a bit of DRS on his teammate as well.
Yeah, now let's talk about the story of this race really quick before we jump into these final few laps. You can see Max Singster up 11 positions in his current running slot. Wisp is up 12 positions. The Domi up 6. Robbo up 7. Jack S and Liam each 9 positions up. Kai Bacchini up 3 slots. Gadwin up 3 slots. And you can see now Crampy jumping into the pit lane. And that is the news that we were all waiting for. Maxim as well.
And you would think that at this stage of the race it's going to be for fresh softs. That's Crampy on the fresh soft, and Maxine is also going for the fresh soft. So we've already seen Undertaker's pace. But yeah, looking at, like you said, the story of this race, someone who's had a fairly interesting race, Domai, up 8 places after that jump start in the Williams, and I think it's worked out quite nicely for him, even though that is, you know, a definite breach of the rules. But
well, he did serve that drive-through penalty that was handed to him.
The one benefit you get with, and I was just complimenting him.
That is the curse, if anything, and that's a reset to track, so he is more than likely going to receive a penalty as a result, as that is not permitted. And that is, of course, Jack S being blocked by the rejoining Williams, and we have an issue there coming down into turn 10. Jack S and Liam wheel to wheel right now, fighting for position on lap 22. Liam out in front at the moment, coming into turn 11.
Maxime B on the fresh softs as well. He's just got past Squid, so he's going to be joining these guys in just a moment. He's absolutely flying, and these guys, he's just at the fastest sector too, and he's approaching the back of Jack S. He's got a much better exit out of turn 13 there, around the outside along the straight here, and he flies past the Renault, and now it's the Red Bull in his sights. That's Liam. He's going to get DRS, even though Liam's got DRS as well on that Williams ahead. He's going to stand absolutely no chance into the first corner. Here we go. Maxime B isn't even using overtake right now as he flies past. Is he going to be able to get Dome into turn 2 as well? Almost running into the back of the Williams there. But he just about hangs on. He's in 8th place now, and he's already tearing away from the cars behind him.
I think one common stereotype for Canadians is that they're all so very nice, but clearly Maxim is shattering that, as he is clearly on a serious revenge drive now as he is pushing through this grid. He's now into 7th ahead of the Williams, and he's looking quite good in, of course, Kimi Räikkönen's number 7 car there for Alfa Romeo. Down through turn 9.
Well, let's be honest here. They are not his targets. His targets are the likes of Jay and Wisp up in those top 2 positions. Jay on those fresh mediums, only 3 laps old, and he's currently leading this race quite comfortably. Wisp, though, on those old mediums, along with Max and Robbo.
Yeah.
Crampy as well, P5 on the fresh softs.
Yeah, fresh softs, and he's awfully close to Robbo. Up the inside, coming down this straight in Sector 3. Very clean so far, wheel-to-wheel action. Into the right-hander, that is the Haas out in front. Is Robbo going to have an opportunity to have a switchback? He's going to have DRS. Is he going to utilize any of his overtake? Yes, he is. Now, is it going to be enough on those hard compound tires to catch up to that pass on the fresh softs? Clearly not the case. Crampy, so much pace on that fresh rubber, able to get through.
Yeah, usually what you're seeing here is the you want to do as few stops as possible because of how long you have to spend in the pit lane. But here we're seeing the fresh tyres are just absolutely incredible in terms of their pace. But unbelievable stuff from the likes of Jay, Crampy, Maxime, Undertaker on these fresh rubbers. See Undertaker now under pressure from Maxime B. Undertaker also on the soft tyres, so it's not going to be as easy for Maxime B here, but Maxime's tyres are much younger than the Renault's, relatively speaking. Obviously only a few laps, but a few laps around Bahrain on softs is more than enough to make a difference in terms of grip levels.
Most definitely watching Maxim right now. He is catching up to Undertaker into turn 13 now. He wants these points really bad, but Crampy on his teammate.
Team orders there.
Very cleanly done from the Haas squad. And I know them to be quite the squad when it comes to team dynamics. Now Max Singster, I believe, is going to go into that of a defensive turtle and perhaps try to slow some of these other drivers down for his teammate to get away. Could be the case, as Crampy now has to hunt down a 14-second gap. Of course, Wisp on those hard compound tires, going to drop like a stone with a few laps remaining here. Jay on that fresh medium rubber, doing good to pull away as well.
Well, Max here, Crampy, sorry, has really got two rear gunners in the form of not only his teammate, but Robbo as well on those old hard tires. He's going to be holding up Maxime B. No, he's not, because Maxime B's just slammed his car into the side. Unfortunate for him, he just looks like he took too much curb and bounced. And that's going to drop him down into 9th place. He doesn't look like he's picked up any damage, but that's so unfortunate for the Alpha driver after he was absolutely slicing his way through the field.
He was on a charge. It was a big risk from him, but once again, that has not altered his drive here, as he has now made a move up the inside of the Red Bull to recover. He's back into 8th position now. He looks to retake 7th position from the Williams that has just passed him by.
That's usual. I think that might have just cost him the podium. Undertaker, though, he's also on soft tyres. As long as they can go to the end, he's on the back of the racing point. That is Robbo. Not going to be able to make the move into the last corner here, but he is going to get DRS on that pink racing point. There goes his wing. Is he going to be able to make the move down into turn 1? He's gaining. He's not making use of overtake, but neither is his rival. Side by side they go into turn 1, and he's already made the move. Nothing too dramatic from the Renault there. But now that leaves him to go in charge after Max Inkster on those old hard tyres. He's going to be slower, that's for sure.
Skybits made the move out on the AlphaTauri. That is the Ferrari on the inside. It's almost 3 wide, and that's a big tap from the Ferrari on the rear of the AlphaTauri. Juicebox spun off at turn 1. That is Yasko getting out in front into 12th. Stewart's definitely going to be having a look at that. It's Skybits away in 11th, escaping by a second and a half. Wow, that was a very interesting altercation in turn 1 for sure. Here on lap 26, it is tier 2. MRL, if you're just joining us, make sure you hit that follow button. We still have a lot of action yet to come this evening, as we have a whole nother race to go through in just under an hour's time. It is, of course, tier 1 action around here in Bahrain, as Undertaker in 5th position on the fresher rubber. Then Max Inkster ahead now. Could be in for a good haul of points for the Renault squad. His teammate, Jack S., unfortunately not having the race he wanted in 14th.
Yeah, Maxime B continues his charge. He's not only got Liam, but he's just overtaken the Domai once again. But he's looking at Robbo. Obviously, Undertaker's just made the move on the racing point the lap prior into turn 1. Maxime B, though, a little bit further back, but he's got pace. He's got no overtake, though, but neither does the racing point. So it could be anyone's game, but I think the most likely place for an overtake here will be out of turn 2. As Nothing happens through the first couple of turns, but that is Undertaker on the back of the Haas of Max Inkster there, looking up the inside into turn 4. Not going to make any sort of move there. He could just bide his time and wait. Max obviously wanting to be that tail gunner for his teammate Crampy. Currently almost 8 seconds between the two Haas drivers, and that's just what they want, because they want as many points as they can get out of this race weekend.
Just to address the chat as well, as the rules state, resets to circuit are not allowed, and if they are caught on stream by any of the stewards, whether it be via incident reports or just watching the replay in general, as Undertaker up the inside of Max Inkster into turn 11, a beautiful move from the Renault, as Maxim gets ahead of Robbo as well into 6th position, and he is already looking to hunt down.
I had to Robert Kaibaccini off into turn 10. I don't know if that was Juicebox or Jack who had contact with him. But that's a huge hit from one of those two and the Mercedes.
Just to finish the thought though, resetting the track is against the rules and it can be penalized. Max Inkster in 5th, looking for another run on the Renault up the outside. He's not going to get on the brakes as late as the Renault though.
And behind them you've got Domai and Robbo. They're pretty close together. They don't have DRS on the car. Oh, they do have DRS. Domai was just very late.
Maxim, big issue in turn 4. He has lost his braking, it appears, or perhaps Max Inkster, excuse me, maybe a little too early, but he definitely misjudged it. Unfortunately for him, into the rear of the Haas into turn 4, spinning out, and he is now dropped into 8th position once again here on those soft compound tires, and that is most definitely going to be, well, it most definitely isn't going to be the race finish that the Alfa Romeo wanted.
Yeah, he's not going to be happy with himself. That's 2 mistakes he's made now. Obviously, you know, it was in an attempt to charge for the lead, guys, but he's dashed any hopes because Jay is already on the final lap here of the Grand Prix. He's absolutely flying away with it.
And I just have to say, after a very interesting finish to their race last week, Haas has shown a very, very dynamic race today. Crampy and Max Inkster, both of them currently running 3 and 5 respectively here. But of course, penalties at the end of the race could come down the pipe, could improve or perhaps drop them in position. As the Domi looking at Max Inkster, not able to pull the trigger.
Yeah, and I think the constructors is worth talking about as well, because last week we saw not only McLaren and we also saw Alfa Romeo as well, both picking up a large points haul, with both of those teams having all of their drivers in the top 5. Obviously, Jay won the race, but
Jackass on the inside of Squid, Unicorn coming into turn 4, now on the inside of the Ferrari, and that is Jasko really shutting the door on the Renault there. Very unfortunate for Jackass. Back on board with Liam now.
As the race win for Jay, though, as he crosses the line in 1st place. Crampy is within 2 seconds of Wisp. So if there are any penalties at play, he's going to jump the place. He's not, though. So that is our podium now, I believe.
Undertaker coming across the line 4th here in Bahrain. Max Inkster 5th, the Domi in 6th, and Max Inkster stays in 5th position. The Domi staying 6th, Robbo 7th, Maxim 8th, Liam in 9th. Skybits now in the McLaren, crossing 10th.
Chin up the inside of Squid into the last corner. Squid's gone very wide. He's got a damaged front wing. That's going to cost him the position there. Both leapfrogging Juicebox, though, due to penalties.
And it's Max, the last car to finish here in Bahrain in the Racing Point. Gonna come home 17th. Not the result the team wanted, I'm sure, from him. and I'm sure he's going to be very, very annoyed heading into next round. Next week, of course, we are going to be going to Hanoi. It's Vietnam. You can see the disgust as the Racing Point crosses that line. What a race that was. As Max Inkster receives the game awarded driver of the day for Haas, and what a result it was for Haas. You can see them there on the podium. Crampy, what a drive.
Yeah, you just gotta appreciate that. You know, Jay, second win in the second race. 2 wins, 2 races.
Yeah.
It should be 2 races, 2 wins, shouldn't it? But an outstanding start to the season for him. But as far as the constructors are concerned, not really such a dominant performance, I don't think. We've still got a pretty tight race at the top of that.
Yeah, and it's back-to-back wins for your Mercedes driver. That is the Funky JJ with another win here in MRL Tier 2 action. Wisp coming across in second, Crampy in third, Undertaker in fourth, Max Inkster in fifth. With the Domi in sixth, Robbo seventh, Maxim eighth, Liam in ninth, and Skybits rounding off your top 10. You can see there Jasco, Just Jack S, Kaibachini, Squid, Juicebox, Gadwin, Itzmax, Sensorless, A2K, and CJOS all unable to finish within the points here for this one.
And I do believe we're going to have interviews with all 3 of the top 3 finishers, but let's get that organized right now. So let's get our race winner, Jay, into the voice chat. There we are, Jay. Congratulations, your second win out of just 2 races.
Wow.
How's it going, man?
Really good. Really good. I've been worried all week that I didn't have the pace. Worried I went on the wrong tyre strategy, going on the softs. And then it all just came to. I don't know how. Maybe some people had some bad races or some accidents or something. But yeah, it feels really good. A pretty clean race. Not too exciting, not too many overtakes and things, but yeah, it was good.
I think your tyre strategy really came into its own there. At the end, obviously, we saw you were one of the first front runners to pit for those fresh tyres, those mediums at the end there, and that saw you just sort of have absolutely insane pace towards the end of the race. I'm pretty sure that was what really put you home there.
Yeah, I mean, that was the plan, but I was always going to play it by ear with safety cars. I think what helped as well was the safety car came out slap bang on the lap that I needed to pit off the softs. So I'm sure that helped. But yeah, I think I was always going to play soft, medium, medium. It suggested soft, medium, soft, but them softs after a few laps, even if there's a load of life left on them, just ain't right. And the hards aren't right. They're about half a second slower a lap, no matter what, whether they're fresh or not. So I just avoided the hards like there was a bad smell on them. And it seemed to pay off well.
Yeah, we were seeing that with those on the hard tyres really, really losing the pace towards the end of the race. To those of you who were on the mediums, Drift, do you have any questions there for our race winner?
Well, first I just want to say congratulations on the back-to-back. You and I, well, based on the conversation you and I had yesterday, I don't think that either of us were expecting that.
Definitely not.
So
Definitely
excellent
not.
To you. Also, just want to take a quick second to acknowledge your teammate, Kai Bacchini, for, well, not the result he wanted to have, but of course, thank you to you, sir, for the rate of 63 viewers in the chat. And, well, to give your teammate some spotlight here as he came home with the win in Bahrain. So thank you to Kai Bacchini. And, of course, just a great job overall, Jay. This circuit eluded you for a race win last season out. So how does it feel finally getting back here, getting the win, and, well, getting it over and done with, to be honest?
To be honest, the whole method of going into this race was do not spin out on that corner. Is it 15? I don't know what number corner it is.
12.
The fast right.
I believe it's 12. Yeah.
My whole philosophy was just as long as I don't spin out there and I finish the race, I'm happy after what happened last time. And I tailored my car to it. I ran the laps on the tyres, and as soon as I felt the rear end slipping out before the tyres were done. I was back into my setup, changing the setup to make sure it didn't do that. I don't know if that's what helped and gave me confidence around the rest of the lap, but I knew as long as I didn't make a stupid mistake, I wasn't going to spin. And that was the philosophy for the race, was just to get to the end, don't crash out. And that's what I was worried about most. So yeah, it really redeems from last time round.
Very good. Very good. Well, congratulations to you once again. And, well, it's a very good start to you for the season. And that's 2 wins now. That's, well, 50 points.
Lovely.
So congratulations for that. And I'm sure it's going to look nice on the standings as well.
Yeah.
But thank you very much for joining us here for the interview.
All right. Cheers. Thank you.
As we look to get our next driver in here.
Here we are, Wisp. Welcome. An incredible drive for you.
Thank
A
you.
lot of positions gained there during the race. Talk us through your strategy and how you managed to gain all of those positions. 13th to 2nd. Not a small feat.
It was a bit weird at first because I don't really know. I spun it and then I got a drive-through penalty because I jumped the start a little bit, but I don't know, to be honest. My front left tire was on 80% at the end, so I don't really know how to fucking... I don't know. It was just weird. I have no idea. I have no idea what happened.
Yeah, you successfully pulled off the one stop, which we saw a lot of people using 3-4 sets of tires even. Do you really think that played into your favour, only having to go into the pit lane once, even despite the safety car?
Yeah, I think so. It was a bit hard holding back crampy though on the fresh softs. It was really hard. I don't know, to be honest.
And we really saw the hards sort of drop off towards the end of the race. The mediums definitely were faster throughout the race. Were you ever worried that, you'd made the mistake of staying out? I know you just said that you were under pressure from crampy, but were you worried you were going to lose more than just the podium?
Oh yeah, I was thinking of pitting for softs or whatever the last 5 laps, I think it was, because I was scared of my front left popping or just completely going. So yeah, I don't know. I was a bit scared because I thought I was gonna drop even further down.
Yeah, Striff, I'll hand over to you if you've got any questions there for West here.
Well, Australia last week, really, really unfortunate finish for you. I know in our conversations this week I teased you a lot. Are you going to do better this week in Bahrain? And you said, well, I'd like to. Clearly you have. And it is a big congratulations, especially for the AlphaTauri squad that I'm sure is very, very happy with that result. So congratulations to you. How does it feel with such a solid comeback after your first round?
It honestly feels amazing. As I said, Freeware and Shenji helped me a lot though with the strategy also, and they've helped me a lot during the race, pushing me to go faster, and it honestly feels amazing.
Well, as it should. It's a very, very good feat, especially in such a dynamic race such as this one. And I'm sure looking back at the race later, you're going to be very happy with this one, because given what we had to see and what we got the opportunity to see, Unicorn and I, and all of us here in the Twitch, it was a very well-deserved win. Or, well, P2 podium, if you will. Not win necessarily, but slip of the words. But soon enough, the win will come, of course, I'm sure, as the pace is there. And, well, the strategizing is there as well, so good job to the AlphaTauri squad.
Thank you.
All right, and as we look to get our third and final podium finisher in here, I just want to take a moment to shout out the stream, Kai Bacchini, with the raid to everybody who's just joined us. If you're new, my name is Strifium. Joining me on the commentaries is Unicorn, and we do this every Thursday at 3:15 CDT / 9:15 PM BST for Tier 2 racing. And then following that, every Thursday also, we have our Tier 1 racing at 5:15 PM CDT and 11 p.m. or 11:15 p.m. excuse me, BST. So every Thursday we do that. So if you're enjoying the content, of course, the race is over for Tier 2, but in just a few moments, in just under half an hour's time, we are going to be back for Tier 1 racing. Now, with us, Crampy. Welcome.
Hello.
How does it feel, my friend, to get the podium today for Haas? You and Max Inkster must be super, super excited.
Yeah, we didn't expect to be this high up, especially after Max's qualifying, but he managed to get a good strategy on the one stop, I think, and carried it through.
Very, very tight racing from you today. A lot of overtaking opportunities, a lot of camera time as well. How does it feel getting a lot of those moves done here in Bahrain? How do you like Bahrain as a circuit overall?
Bahrain's good for overtakes, a lot of hard braking zones, and that makes it fun for entertaining racing and stuff. And I took use of that and done some myself.
It was a very good race from you. Unicorn, do you have any questions for Crampy?
Yeah, I mean, you went for the soft, hard, soft strategy. How much of that was influenced, by the safety car and that sort of dynamic of the race? Obviously, you might have been able to pull off a soft, medium, soft. Did that ever cross your mind, or was that always the plan?
I was originally meant to go soft, medium, soft, but then at the top of turn 12, I had an off on lap 1, which gave me damaged wing, so then I had to stop for that. Then I was seeing if I could take the hards to the end, but they wouldn't, so I had to pit for softs and go on a push on the last stint, and managed to get back up to P3.
Yeah, well, you absolutely nailed the strategy there. Your recovery drive from that damage, absolutely brilliant. So congratulations, and a big congratulations to Haas as a whole. Like you said, there's Striff, Max coming in 5th. You've picked up, I believe, apart from maybe Mercedes, a lot of points here, if not the most, from this week. So that leaves you in good stead for the constructors. I'm assuming that excites you as well, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, we hope to do well, but we didn't expect to do this good. And it's great that we managed to get this many points from what looked like a bad situation after my crash.
Yeah, it definitely was a comeback for sure. Definitely was. Considering the crash at the beginning of the race and then to come back and still finish on the podium after what a dynamic race. A fantastic, fantastic race from you. And we look forward to seeing you in more races yet to come.
I hope so as well.
Thank you for joining us, Crampy. We will see you next time, and next week for, of course, Vietnam. Hanoi is coming up, everybody, and I cannot wait for that, as it is a circuit nobody has had an opportunity to see a full-length league race on, at least that I am aware of. Of course, I've been partial to a couple of practice races myself, but it's going to be a very interesting circuit once league racing approaches it. It's a very intense circuit. Now, of course, the other thing is, well, just this race, Unicorn. Overall, what a race it was. What do you think overall coming into Vietnam with the standings being what they are now?
I think what we've seen so far, you can expect a strong race from Jay. He's proven himself. Obviously, Alfa Romeo not having the race that they did last week, neither did McLaren. But I think the interesting thing that Hanoi is going to add to the mix is that regardless of how many hours you've got in F1 2019, 2018, it doesn't matter. This is a new track. It's fairly different to a lot of the other tracks on the calendar, being fairly narrow, but also with those huge long straights. There's also a lot of speed in there, so it's going to throw a spanner in the works for sure. And just judging by tonight's race, you can't really predict what's going to happen by the end of this season. It's so exciting. Obviously, Frankie J, as I said, he's been dominant so far. 2 wins out of both of the races, so he's been very strong at the start of this season. But it's not like we haven't seen other strong drives as well. I think Maxime B, obviously we saw him make a few mistakes there, trying maybe a little too hard to get back towards the front, but he qualified pole, so the pace is there from the Alfa Romeo driver, and we saw both of them score good points last week. Obviously, Sejos, unfortunately, DNFing early on in the race, but I think it's still pretty much all to play for here. Obviously, only 2 races out of 22. So
Oh, yeah.
really, plenty of races yet to recover, even if you haven't even scored points at this stage of the race season.
It is a very long season, and there's a lot of points on the table as we are just getting things started here for Season 3 action. Of course, that is all the time we have for our Tier 2 broadcast. We are going to jump on over and raid a member of the community that I'm sure many of you know. And once we do that, of course, make sure if you're new, hit that follow button. We are going to be live in just under half an hour for Tier 1 action here around Bahrain. And if last week was anything to go by any of these races that we've seen, or even today, it's going to be a very, very spicy matchup indeed. And joining me for that will be Mikau and, of course, Unicorn. Thank you to you as always. We are going to jump in just a few moments to the intro, outro sequence, and we will hop on over and raid a member of the wonderful Formula 1 community who does a lot for league racing as well. Now, Unicorn, any last remarks, my friend?
As always, a pleasure to commentate alongside you, Striff. That was just something else, even more drama than last week, dare I say it. Only one safety car, a bit of a surprise, but again, we expected turn 12 to be that dramatic, and it didn't disappoint, but also turn 4. That was a bit unexpected, that sequence, and the 5, 6, 7 sort of S's, mini S's you got there. Maxime B with those, those beautiful attempts at overtakes, and also the overtakes he did do through there. I think I focused a bit too much maybe on the mistakes he made, but he also made some really, really nice moves coming through there. But overall, just so many position swaps. What a brilliant race that was.
Thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed the racing action, and if you did, make sure to hit that like button and consider subscribing for more great racing. Of course, you can check us out on Twitch. Every Thursday we have Racing Then, and we're going to have a lot more coming to you soon. Twitter, where you can find all of our updates, and Discord if you're interested in becoming a part of the Misfits community. Thanks for watching, guys, and see you next time.